This portion of Fast Faith is brought to you by Squeaky Clean.
As I look back now and flash forward to where I'm at now, I know what I should have been doing, but I wasn't doing it, right? So
well, hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fast Faith, where speed meets spirit. I'm Michael Weiser, and today we're sitting down with one of Bowman Gray's competitors in the Sportsman division, Mr. T Dawson.
Hey,
thanks for sitting down with us and sharing a little bit of stories and stuff with us.
Perfect, man. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So before we talk about race cars and faith and stuff, kind of tell the fans who you are. You know, they know you drive the 15 car, but who is T Dawson?
So who am I, right? So I work for a company. We sell aftermarket wholesale parts. I span from North Carolina up to New York and all in between. So that's my full-time job. Keeps me busy. Travel is not much as I used to, but I still travel probably once a month. I do a lot of customer interfacing with it. And really, at the end of the day, I tell everybody I'm a business solutionist for these people. So it's just a normal thing, right? Somebody brings their car in, they need to get the part. Well, who's got the part? Who can get to them fast enough? And that's sort of where we use everything with our tools at our expenses to try to navigate that to the best of our abilities.
That's pretty cool. It sounds like you stay pretty busy then. So what was life growing up? Like, how was life growing up for you? And where does racing come at in your life journey?
So I went to just local in town. I went to Lefford High School and played football, basketball, baseball all through my career. And then after that, I transitioned. I went to NC State, and I used to be in the golf industry for a long time. And then how sort of I get into the automotive that leads me to into racing is, had a good friend that was a member at the country club, and he said, hey, you do a really good job on the golf course, and what if you use those skills and the marketing side of it, what if you came to work at a dealership and really was a customer interfacing that was able to work? So I started working at a dealership, we'll call it probably 15 years ago, and I did that for a little while. And then that's sort of what led me into the automotive industry. And then that's how I connected into the racing industry as well. So go back probably 5.5 years ago, there's a guy who probably everybody knows. Some of them love him, some of them don't. He drives the 55 in a Zach Orr, right? I call him the man, the myth, and one day he's going to be a legend out there, right? His track record over the last couple of years is, I think he wins 5 to 7, 8 wins a season, if not more. So that's really what got me into this sport was, and we'll talk about giving back in a little while, is he invited me. He said, hey, just come down one time in pits and hang out. Well, that's probably the worst mistake I ever did, because you look at me now and got a car and been racing for 4 years. But that friendship that Zach and I started 5.5 years ago, I came, I watched, and then I started helping him. And then about 4.5 years ago, we were just talking, and he said, to win a championship out there, you got to have 2 cars, right? So you never know. In our division, they run 2 races. Typically, I would say 13 out of 18 weeks, we run 2 races. Well, in that first race, if something happens that you're not able to start that second race, you don't get any points.
Right.
So he said, for me to really know that I can do this, I really need a backup car. So we went hand in hand. We went and bought a car from a guy named Corey Rose. And Zach's a magician, right? So we got it started. And that's sort of what led me into racing, 4.5 years ago.
Yeah. So it's a pretty recent journey that started.
100%. Yes. As of 4.5 years ago, or whenever I started, I never set behind. I've never done any kind of dirt tracks. I've never done go karts. I played football, basketball, and baseball all through my career.
Yeah. And golfing.
I tend to
or
I
attempting to.
I used to play a ton of golf, and this in this racing piece of it, it's a lot of dedication, right? It's long nights, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and you put everything you have to get there to Saturday night. So you start on Sunday, assessing what it is. You work Monday through Thursday to Friday. You load it up. You go over there and you give it all you got, and it's 18 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, and Zach's a friend of ours and a friend of the show as well. So he is definitely turned on his game the last couple of years. Got that championship a couple of years ago, and he's definitely on a rail this year so far as well. So um, when did it kind of click though that you wanted to be behind the wheel and not just helping out in the pits?
So Zach asked me, it was towards the end of the year, he said, "Do you ever want to hop in my car and just try and see what you thought?" And I said, "Man, I know how much these things cost for being helping work on it." I said, "I'd never want to go out there and tear anybody else's car up." I mean, so that's where I really thought about it. And, Zach being a good friend to try to chase that championship for him. And that's sort of where it led us to. I said, you know what, let's go buy a car. And that's really sort of the turning point on it. And then, 2 years ago, his dream came true, right? So 2 years ago, he won the Bowman Gray Championship, and he also won the national championship as well.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good year for him. So at Bowman Gray, as I've discussed with other drivers and things like that, though, it can get interesting to say to keep it polite and politically correct. It can get kind of wild and crazy there. Uh, what is something that keeps you focused on keeping on, even during the struggles of it, during the listening to things people may say or may put out on social medias and stuff? What keeps you focused on just saying, "Hey, this is what I want to do, and I'm just going to keep showing up and keep learning and keep digging and keep getting after it"? What are things that you kind of tell yourself to keep going?
Well, at first, and I'm glad you brought it up, right? First, it resonates with God, right? That faith in Him and that trust in Him. And no matter at the end of the day, He's still believing in you, right? So, yes, there is a ton of noise at Bowman Gray. It's the madhouse for a reason. But it will make you at the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in a second, right? And you just keep pushing and you keep digging and you keep praying about it. And things work in mysterious ways. We don't know how everything's going to pan out, right? And that's where our trust and our faith in God really leads us. And I would say a lot of that just resonates in just the determination of just really being able to each week continue to improve, right? So I know going out there, I'm not a front runner, but every week I say, hey, I want to try to beat this car. Or I want to try to beat these cars. And that sort of just that drive that gives you to try to do your best each and every week.
Yeah. What's that place taught you, not just as a driver, but also as a human being, as a man? What is it? What's like a lesson you feel like you've learned from dealing with those things and from just keeping on, keeping on?
But one of the things I think that's really taught me, for me, is self perseverance, right? So things will knock you down all the time, right? And you have to know mentally where you are, what all the noise that you could have, and this goes back into your normal job as well, right? So whatever it may be, you just have to keep on perspiring for greatness each and every day. And just staying straightforward and keeping your mind at the task at hand.
Yeah. The fans see the green flag. A lot of the fans see, stuff that goes on. They don't see the late nights. They don't see the bills. They don't see they may see the disappointments, but they don't feel that same disappointments. So with that being said, you know, what is something that you feel like people don't understand or realize that goes into preparing a car for racing every week, especially in the sportsman where, as you said, you race 2 races every week most of the time. And anytime you run bigger races, it's at a minimum of 40, but usually 100 laps. What are some things you feel like people just maybe don't see at all or understand?
Yeah, one of the things people don't really see at all, and we'll sort of talk about first is when we're out there racing and there's door banging and there's wrecks and people are getting frustrated. Before the race, you can walk up to any trailer and ask any driver any question, and for the most part, you're going to get the right answer. There's been times a couple weeks ago. There's a guy in street stock, and I can't think. I think it's number 47 maybe, and he walked over and he said, "Hey, do you got a fuel pump?" Right? This guy was not going to be able to race if he didn't get a fuel pump. Luckily, we had one on the truck, and he got it on, and he was able to race. So there's one example of just the openness and willingness for other drivers to help people get there. I mean, I was listening to somebody that won a race, I think it was in mini stocks, right? And they were both wrenching on the car trying to get it ready for the Saturday morning. So I think the fans don't really get to see, yes, we are competitors. When we put when the lights go down and the green flag drops, you're right. You don't have many friends out there, and you have really zero friends. But when you pull off that track, if you've ran them clean and you've done what you can do and whatever the outcome is, people really respect that.
Yeah. What are some influences that you've had in your life outside of the track that you feel like maybe since you've gotten into racing over the last few years have helped prepare you for that?
So, one of the biggest things that I've really done over the course of this is one of the biggest things that I do each and every day is when I start my day, I feel like if you prepare and you start your day, you're going to be successful. What does that look like for me? I have started waking up an extra 10 minutes early and spending that time in prayer, whatever that looks like. And that can be different for everybody. It could be you're driving to work in prayer. It could be you can be at your house. It could be drinking coffee on the back deck. But for me, it's just spending
with your eyes open, though. If you're
Yeah.
driving to work praying,
Yeah.
please just pray with your eyes open. God is not going to take offense if you
100%. And 2 hands on the
yeah,
wheel.
both hands on the wheel, at least one at a minimum. But yeah, anyway. Go ahead.
But I think when you start out the day and spending those few minutes, that prepares you for the day, right? So I think that's one of the biggest things that I have been able to do that's really changed me over the course of this is praying and spending a little extra time. Obviously one of my biggest fans, of course, is your family, right? So my mom is every week. She's like, "Listen, you need to listen to Dylan. Whatever Dylan's telling you, you better do." And I think her support, and no matter what, she's always been there for me. That piece of it, I want to do good for myself, but I also want to do even better for her than myself.
Right. As the name of the show says, and as I'm loving showing up to these things and drivers having my shirts on. That's something cool.
That's awesome, yeah.
I don't know how
Man, it's a really good shirt too.
Yeah. If you like one of those snazzy shirts, send me a message. I'll help hook you up with one. But so the name of the show, Fast Faith, and you've mentioned God several different times, and spending time in prayer, leaning on Him to help get you through difficult seasons, difficult times of life, and things like that. But where does your faith journey begin? Where do you really kind of feel like you grabbed hold of what He's got going on and said, I need this and I need Him in my life?
Yeah, so I have grown up in a Christian household for my entire life, right? So as a young kid into the teens, up until I'll say probably college, I attended I attended a Baptist church. It was Abbott's Creek in our local community, and involved on Sundays, Wednesdays. I played church softball there as well. And I was invested all in that. And then, as you gravitate and you go to college, right, it's natural. You're not able to attend church as much as you could. And then throughout my career in the golf industry, it's 7 days a week. There's golf courses are open on Sundays, right? So it was really difficult for me to take the time that I needed to take, and that was personal for me, right? And as I look back now and flash forward to where I'm at now, I know what I should have been doing, but I wasn't doing it, right? So I will tell you, probably in the middle part of November, my mom. Well, let me backpedal just a little bit. I call it about 3.5 years ago. My mom, her husband passed away tragically, right? And that at that point in my life, my mom was the happiest she's ever been. She was just retired, living her best life, and for that to be taken away from her in an instant, right? It really questions, like, what all happened? What is it for, right? These are two Christian people. They were going to church. How did that happen? We all don't know that. And see my mom and the struggles. And I really, at that point, I said, you know what? That's when you got to lean on prayer that if I've never had before. If I need God, He needs to show me a way. So at that point, I really started thinking, what should I do for God? And that's sort of transitioned over the course of years. And then my mom, she finally said back in November, we really need to find a home in church. We need to find somewhere that we can continue to build a foundation, that we can be involved in whatever that looks like. So we started looking. We went to a couple of different churches. And where we are today, we're involved in a church. We try to go every Sunday. For all of you that are out here watching, it doesn't matter what church you go to, right? All it matters is that you try to do the best you can to attend. And if you can't attend every Sunday, that's okay. What that looks like for you can be different. It could be watching it online. Our pastor makes a really good statement every couple of weeks. It's, some of the best investment that you can ever make in your life is in your local church, right? And what that looks like, maybe it's watching online and giving through there, or maybe it's attending in person and giving through there as well.
Yeah, that's in this current season that we're in right now at Bowman Gray, 2026. In case somebody ever watches this years from now, do you feel like having that faith and having it kind of more firm from having that family kind of thing of going to church, making that effort to get to know God more, to get to know Jesus more? Do you feel like that's helped you and grown your faith because of racing? Like, has racing played an influence in helping that?
I think 100% it has. And, one of my favorite Bible verses is Proverbs 27:17, which is iron sharpens iron, as one person sharpens another. And this, I will tell you, this is why I think God works in mysterious ways, right? So we've had this plan for probably a couple weeks now, right? So on Saturday, I happened to see a fellow driver. I'm not going to name the division. And he came over to the trailer, and I was just talking to him. And I was congratulating him on a win. And it sort of led into almost to a testimonial, right? And I just said, hey, man, how you been doing? And he said, T, he said, you got a minute? And I said, sure. And he said, I've been struggling. And that right there, that just shows you that the racetrack, there's people just like everybody in this world. And we sat down for probably 10 minutes, and he said, T, over the last couple weeks, I have been questioning different things about God and how it is and what's been going on. And he had some issues going on in his personal life. And we talked. We sat there and talked for about 10 minutes. And at the end of it, he said, "I want to tell you that meant the world to me." And for me, as a human being, being able to sit there and listen to him, and it's going to bring me to tears, because this guy, he said, it's so nice to talk to somebody that was not opinionated on the situation. So honestly, it's just purely amazing how God works in mysterious ways that he was able to come over to me. We had a 10-minute conversation about things that are going on in his life, and how God has impacted him over the course of this, what that looks like for him, what he's doing, what I'm doing. And that's the stuff on the backside nobody ever gets to see, which is
Right.
it's truly incredible.
Yeah, that's something I've learned over the last few years that I've gotten more involved in things is seeing that what a lot of the fans see Saturday nights of the smashing the cars into the wall, people getting mad, and other things, that just as much as that goes on, that behind the scenes, the same driver that one of the other driver's fans is talking bad about, he's underneath the hood fixing their favorite driver's car, even though they think that those two drivers hate each other because they have such a strong rivalry or something. Yep. Or there's moments like that where there's a beautiful, brotherhood, friendship, man-to-man conversation where the iron is sharpening iron.
Yep.
So that's a beautiful story. Thanks for sharing that with us. What's the future kind of hold for T Dawson? How much you want to keep doing this for a while, or is this just kind of a small chapter in your life? Do you want to keep driving? Do you want to get into car ownership, or
so the future is?
What do you feel like is the goal?
The future is untold, right? We don't know what it is. Obviously, I've run a limited season this year for multiple reasons, right? I've put everything I've got for 18 weeks for the last 4 years, and I would not trade it for the world, right? I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better with the support, and I'll go back to Zach, right? Hand in hand for all he did for me. This year, sort of migrating to running, I would say, half to three-quarter season. And then, looking back and talking about Jordan, right? Look at that opportunity. She got to run a 50-lapper. And then the week after that, she wins her first race ever. I think the 6th female driver to ever win over there. So her name will go in the record books for that. So what's in it for me after this? I would say still to be untold, right? There's ideas of what I might do. There's ideas of what I think I want to do. There's a lot of prayer that's got to be left into it. So still untold. I'll throughout the rest of this year, we got a 100-lapper coming up this week, so I'll be there. We take a break for a week, come back July 11th. I'll run that one. That's double points, and then we'll just sort of see what the rest of the year holds. If it's going to be my last year for sure, there's going to be a couple races that Tommy Neal puts on towards the end of the year. So I will definitely be going down to Carteret County, and then maybe 1 or 2 more tracks after that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, we never want to say never. We never want to say for sure, because God has different plans sometimes than what we think are His plans. So
yep, for sure.
That's good that that you are not putting any kind of firm stamp on any of that, and leading on prayer for where you want to go with that. That's awesome as well. You mentioned earlier when we first started the conversation about wanting to give back and wanting to do different things. Can you kind of share on that a little bit more of what you mean by that?
Yeah, so for me, wanting to give back and wanting to do more, first it goes into I think it's so great. And just this past Saturday, a little kid came up to me and his mom said, "Do you remember the last race of the last season and you gave him a body part?" Well, I would love to say that I remembered it. But I bits and pieces of it I did. And seeing that kid's joy and being able to give back throughout this year. Another piece of it is there's a little girl that she just started racing at Wake County called, her name's Isabella Crisco. She's races in a bandolier. They come every Saturday to Bowman Gray. They race on Friday night at Wake County. So you're talking about dedication. They race on Friday night at Wake County, and then they come, and every Saturday she comes to Bowman Gray, and then every Saturday night she's coming to see me. So for the give back for the kids, I'm still going to be there through this. What it looks like right now on top of it, we got a car in the shop right here. Number 73 car is going to be piloted by a young lady named Shannon in Street Stock. I've been putting the blood, sweat, and tears of getting this thing ready over the course of a couple weeks. and hoping to get it, to practice by this Saturday. So that's just a couple give backs throughout the rest of this year.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, we have a piece of a bumper cover at the house that you gave us. I don't know, probably 3 years ago now or something.
That's awesome.
And it's got your hero card right there with it, so we know what it came from, because all it's got is just
probably wasn't much left on
a little piece of blue and white from the Cowboys scheme or whatnot. But yeah, we still got it. It's sitting around the house and whatnot. So something I've done different this year with the interviews, to kind of have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Let the fans, not only see the human side through the testimony and the sharing of life and your journey through racing and through your faith, but also just have a little bit of fun. So I'm gonna throw a few quick questions at you real quick. Ford or Chevy?
Oh, Chevrolet all day.
Favorite track besides Bowman Gray?
So
to go to or race at. I know you don't have as much experience racing at other tracks.
So racing, I will tell you, I love Carteret County. Right, it's my favorite track. My fame to glory, right, and Zach's car was not right, but I out-qualified him 2 years ago. That's never happened. I've never beat Zach a race with Zach, but I actually out-qualified him. I think his car was broke, but I'll still take the win on that. So Carteret County for racing wise, and then hands down, my favorite track to go to is Martinsville, right? That is a true local short track for NASCAR, beating and banging. It's my favorite by far.
Yeah, I love Martinsville as well. What's your favorite thing to eat before a race?
Oh gosh, I don't eat before a race, but my favorite thing is, and it's coming up, so starting July 1st, watermelon milkshakes at Cookout. So they are by far my favorite. I will be having.
And that's not a sponsor plug either.
Oh yeah, not a sponsor plug to them, but there's 62 days. I'll probably be there 45 of
them. Who's your hardest, like the person that races you the hardest, but maybe with the most respect?
So honestly, and I love it, me and AJ Burney, we are mid-pack cars. AJ has improved greatly over the course of this thing.
Good the other night.
Me and AJ, it was we for some odd reason we always gravitate towards each other. We are not front pack horsemen, no reason, but we're a middle of the pack car. We always seem to get tied up with each other, and I respect AJ. He does a really good job driving people clean, and vice versa.
Coffee or tea?
Sweet tea all day. We're in the South.
Come on, man. Coffee's better. Favorite Bible verse? You already mentioned.
That's one. And then, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I think that's another one that just resonates with me as well so much.
Right. So if somebody watches this interview, let's say 5 years from now and whatnot, they're not going to necessarily remember where you finished. They're not going to remember necessarily, what your car looked like, things like that. Because, like they say in the movie Cars, it's just an empty cup. It's just they sit on the shelf, and at some of the shops I've been at, they got 3 inches of dust on them. But what are something, if somebody watches this 5 years from now and they're like, T Dawson, what do you think? Something you hope they remember about you? They're not going to remember the finishes and all that stuff, but what do you want them to remember about the person?
Well, and for the fans, it's not what you're ever going to see. It's going to be on the backside that the other drivers see, and it's just going to be really the compassion and the willingness to help others, and just to see the camaraderie back there from us. And just what we talked about earlier with that driver, just to be able to break away and talk to a guy that's going through some struggles, that first season, that exceeds everything that has to do anything with racing,
right. Yeah, that's good. If there's somebody watching right now, and let's say they're a mid-pack, further back of the pack driver at a different track, or a young kid in a go-kart who may be struggling getting the handle on learning, and they feel like giving up, what's some advice you'd give them to kind of encourage them to keep on trying?
Well, one thing is to take out all the noise, right? Don't give up on your dreams, right? Jimmy V, I'm a big NC State fan. I went there, right? Don't give up. Don't ever give up, right? I think that's one of the biggest things. The other thing is surround yourself with good people or better people. And that also goes back into the Bible verse that I talked about. Proverbs 27:17. A lot of my growth in this thing is I surrounded myself with better people. I was hand in hand with Zach for so long, and he taught me that stuff. So don't feel like you can never ask somebody for help, whether that be in your personal life or in your racing life as well. So I think for a young kid, it's really just don't ever give up. Ask for help when you need it, right? And then try to find somebody and you let them be that mentor and learn from them.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Before we wrap it up and close in a prayer, is there sponsors and supporters and people like that you'd like to say thank you to?
Yeah, and before I go into sponsors, and listen, one, thank you for having me, right? I think this FastFaith is an incredible opportunity to really share your faith and really be able to have a good conversation about just different life, different things in life, and whatever that looks for you, right? So, and I'll go back to what I talked about earlier. It's however that looks for you and getting in touch with God. Maybe it's a message to Michael and have that conversation. Maybe it's you listen to Chris Fleming at 8:55 and you just say, hey, what is this all about? Or reach out to myself, or maybe it's going to your local church. Whatever that looks like, don't. Anybody that's watching this, please, if there's something, reach out to somebody. We would all like to talk to you about that.
For sure. Never be hesitant on asking. So you want to thank some sponsors and supporters you got going on there?
100%. So first, sponsors for this year, right? And before we get to sponsors, Ron, it starts with God. None of this would be possible without Him in our lives. First, Cardinal Plumbing, which is Joe. If you ever need anything for plumbing, he's your guy. He's actually got him a race car now. I think he was out there last week in the 42, so you'll be seeing him more week. The second one's Brick, right? Drainage Solutions of North Carolina, and that leads into he has a secondary business, Tar Heel Septic Solutions. So if you need any drainage work, or if you need to get your septic worked on, he's your guy. You'll Squeaky Clean Home Pros, which goes into Squeaky Clean Express. So any kind of residential, commercial cleaning on houses, or if you ever need your car washed, reach out to them. The logistics company, Southern Carpet Interiors, they're based in Sanford, North Carolina. A good buddy of mine, a big NC State fan as well. If you ever need any carpet, if you ever need any flooring, CB Atkins has to be Jordan's grandpa. He's been in business in, I'd say 50, 60 years. So if you got any electrical needs, anything that they can do for you, please reach out. McIntyre Metals, which is in Thomasville. Napa on Stratford Road. Andrew is the man. If you ever need any kind of parts, go see him. Precision Graphics. He does all the wraps on my car. So it's a guy named Jacob Porter. So if you ever need anything wrapped, your car, anything that you might need, your personal car, reach out to him. Velocita, Twin City Property Group. So that's Joey Miller. So any of your house needs, buying, selling house, reach out to them. CNC Lock and Key, which is Chip. Kevin's Critter Care. I know a lot of you might be going on vacation in the upcoming weeks with July 4th. Kevin can watch your needs when you're out of town. Mario's Pizza, they supply us pizza every week. Thank you to Mario for what you do. Two sort of new sponsors. One's Right Performance. Right Performance is the one who did my engine. Really quick, cool story. They are brand new. They are actually local in Winston-Salem. Their first ever win on a race car happened to be Jordan's, which is really cool. Another new sponsor is a guy named Brandon for New Life Landscaping. If you ever need anything landscaping needs, he actually just came over and mowed my mom's yard for me, did an incredible job. And then last and not least is Dylan Ward. He's you talk about a legend over there as well. He is my car is over there right now, and I tell you, he's just like a painter, right? His masterpiece each and every week what he does. So thank you to each and every one of those for being able to support me throughout this entire season.
Awesome. I like to close these out with a prayer.
Yep.
I can pray. You can pray.
Go ahead.
All right, let's do it, man. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time to come together and have this conversation, to allow T to share his journey and share his testimony about what you've done in his life, and just pray that these conversations go out and can help touch people and move them closer to you, Father, and to help them when they're struggling, and to hear a story from someone that's leaned on you and that they've seen you pull them through things and been there for them, Father, that other people can learn more about who you are. We just give you the glory for all things, for all of the stuff that you're doing through this ministry and through the different drivers at the track that are sharing and having those moments like T shared with each other, those brother moments, and reaching out to share and help people know who you are, God. And we just give you the glory for everything in our lives and give you the praise, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, I'm Michael Weiser. That's T Dawson. This has been Fast Faith, where speed meets the spirit. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook. We're seeing a lot of traction growing on the Facebook side. I need some more of you viewers, though, to hit that subscribe button on these YouTube videos so that channel can grow the same way that the Fast Faith Facebook has grown. Again, if you see myself at the track, or T, or any of the drivers that you've seen us speak to, or just any of the drivers, really, a lot of them have, strong faith, and a lot of them are willing to take a few moments and share with you. Don't hesitate. Get to know who God is. Get to know who His Son Jesus is, and we'll see you at the track, and we'll see you next time on Fast Faith, where speed meets the spirit.
Engine screaming, feel the fire start to climb, living out this passion, one lap at a time. Got that righteous thunder rolling in my soul, giving up the glory to the one who's in control. It's that fast